We use a lot of live-action footage of lions running, walking, and hunting, and everyday life. There's a ton of documentaries that we were able to use. And there's some actual lions that came into the studio, and that really helped to actually get right up front, close, a couple feet away from it. Like Joseph, a male lion, was pretty intimidating. You never forget that. It's always there in the back of your mind. Well, Mufasa, in the story, he had to feel like the strongest lion in the pride. When I was looking at Joseph, I was thinking, well, I've got to get this type of strength into these drawings. In the drawing, I would exaggerate some certain anatomical things, like the shoulders and the arms and the size of the head and things, more than you would see in nature, because that would help sort of sell the difference between him and the other lions.
One of the first things I like to get is a photograph of the voice talent, if at all possible. And in this case, Jonathan Taylor Thomas. I had received one of his black and white publicity photos. And right away, there was some really nice, appealing qualities to Jonathan that I thought would be really nice if I could get some of those elements into Simba. Not that Jonathan looks like a lion cub, but there was just, there's an appealing quality to Jonathan that I really wanted to get into that.
You can't do anything to me.
Technically they can. We are on their land.
But Zazu, you told me they're nothing but slobbering, mangy, stupid poachers.
That, coupled with the fact that we did a lot of research. Actually, we had Jim Fowler down from the Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom show, and he brought in lion cubs and a full-grown lion to the studio, and we actually got to observe these lions playing, and actually afterwards got to touch and pet them. So it was a combination of the actual animal, the lion, and its unique qualities, coupled with some of the nice appeal and the character that I saw in Jonathan, that I really started mixing the two together, as well as then putting my own ideas and of the acting and the performance into the character, and it all kind of comes out as Simba, hopefully.
Early on, the directors liked the way Mufasa was turning out. We wanted to make sure that Simba looked like, when he grows older, he could look kind of like Mufasa, not as filled out, but still graphically of the same family. And at the same time, we wanted to make sure that the adult Simba looked like an adult version of Cub Simba.
Simba?
To me, as an animator, I really feel like an actor. Even though we work with a pencil, we don't put ourselves in front of the screen. But it really is acting. People ask me sometimes, oh, you have to do all these drawings, and aren't you getting bored? And we don't think about drawing, we think about acting.
He basically says, idiots, I will be king.
I'm trying to figure out who this character is and what he's going through emotionally at this point. And of course, I work for a director. We've got the voice, Jeremy Irons does his part. But then I come in and I really put a performance on the screen.
Precisely.
And for a character like Scar, it is an animal. So you have to bring animal qualities, a real lion walk and how a lion moves and their mannerisms. Plus, you have to humanize that and have real facial expressions that a human has. So it's a funny combination of things. It's different than animating a human character. And I've had experience with humans mostly, even though I've done characters like Roger Rabbit or Mickey Mouse, but they are human characters. They walk on two legs, and the actions and acting is very humanized. This was supposed to be different. These were real lions who walk with lion weight and have lion mannerisms, and yet you still are supposed to portray a humanized personality. And I remember thinking, oh my God, you don't have hands to work with. Hands are so important to express a character's emotions. They say so much, and you don't have that with these characters. So what do? Well, you concentrate much more on the overall body attitude. It's the character sad, or is it suspicious? And also the angle of the head, the face, says something.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
To me, a villain only works if he's also interesting. That's more tough. You can have him beat people around and have him call people names and that sort of thing, and just show him doing evil things, but he has to be an interesting person, an interesting character. So that's what you're really working at, is like, who is this guy? You know, how does he feel about himself and the other characters? What are his likes and dislikes? What he would have for breakfast? You're trying to come up with a very whole personality. You build mannerisms. You know, you really, it's much more beyond than what you see on the screen in the way we analyze the character. So I always thought that a villain should be very, very interesting.
You're so weird.
You have no idea.
I came onto the film quite late. I already had a whole mass of supporting stuff that was already done for me. But I basically came in and finalized the design for the character.
You follow old Rafiki, he knows the way.
That basically came out of a wish to try and make a mandrill, which is what he is. He's actually a sort of mutated mandrill. He's a mandrill with a tail. They don't really have tails, but he has a tail. They're really, really odd-looking animals, and if you just draw them straight, people don't believe you. So to try and make that grotesque face look believable was like the first challenge, I think, for me, to try and get these strange blue stripes working in the design, and so they could actually move when he talked, and they would actually appear appealing and not so grotesque, even though he has to appear slightly crazy. They have this sort of strange posture, which we don't have because we're kind of used to it. So that was something that I thought could really make him still look like a monkey, even though he was acting like a person.
Timon, Pumbaa, what are you doing here?
At your service, my liege.
Pumbaa's kind of a friendly guy that really, they need each other. Pumbaa needs Timon, Timon needs Pumbaa.
Don't worry, buddy, I'm here for you. Everything's gonna be okay.
They're buddies, they're pals. They're kind of like Lenny and George from Grapes of Wrath, you know, the big dumb guy and the little guy that's always in charge and tells him what to do. Pumbaa has the physicality to stick up for Timon, and Timon has the brains to...
Yeah, he's the one who thinks he knows where everything's going to be, and he just, oh, no, you just listen to me, Pumbaa. I'll tell you what it's going to be like.
Jeez, it's a lion! Run, Pumbaa, move it!
Hey, Timon, it's just a little lion.
Then Pumbaa has his moments where he comes across a lot more intelligent than you think he'll be.
I always thought they were balls of gas burning billions of miles away.
We work very closely together since we share a room. You know, I'll start a scene maybe because Pumbaa is such a large shape in the scene, and he's really kind of a walking stage for Timon, since Timon's always on top of Pumbaa's nose or on his back or something like that. I'll start off by animating Pumbaa, but I'll always show Mike before I start. We'll act it out for each other.
It's usually Tony first, then me, and sometimes it goes back and forth, because if there's a lot of interplay with them physically, then a lot of times it'll just mean, you know, I'll do my little bit, give it to him, he'll do it, and then give it back. And
because it's kind of difficult when you're doing comedy, especially with two characters working closely together. You know, just like any comedian duo, I'm sure they have to work out a choreography, a routine, you know, if you will, to a scene. That's what we have to do, only we're doing it 24 frames per second.
Who's the brains in this outfit? My point exactly. Jeez, I'm fried. Let's get out of here and find some shade.
Jim Fowler came to visit us, and he brought a hornbill. So I got to touch the hornbill, you know, a lot of observation and up-close stuff, and, you know, so you could see every feather. I mean, not that I draw every feather, but it's nice to see everything. So we learned all this stuff about muscles and what muscle does what, and there's a lot of correspondence between animal bodies and human bodies. So that was good, because you had a kind of a framework that said, okay, so you can use your own self as a model for the way this bird is going to work. It probably looks funny to somebody else, but it really helps for me to get up and move through my scenes the way I see him moving through the scene, so that I can kind of internalize that stuff, because a lot of the way I work comes, I mean, I gather this intellectual stuff, but then a lot of it, you have to like get it into you and then bring it out of you, so it comes out in this feeling, as opposed to, okay, well, I've got to raise the right foot and move it a quarter of an inch and put it down again. It's not like that. It's like you get all this stuff into your own blood, and then it just comes out.
Oh, just look at you two, little seeds of romance blossoming in the savannah. Your parents will be thrilled.
There was a performance of the actors who recorded the voices, that really kind of nails down what the character will do in a scene.
What have we got here?
I don't know, Shenzi. What do you think, Ed?
Whoopi's character came on as somebody who's particularly scheming all the time. She's the leader.
I know you. You're Mufasa's little stooge.
It's true about actual hyenas. They're led usually by females, by what is known as an alpha female. So her character was always cool, always scheming, very rarely lost composure.
You know, if it weren't for those lions, we'd be running the joint.
Chi-Chi's character was kind of the opposite, you know, very volatile, barely ever able to speak in whispers.
Man, I hate lions.
And Ed was sort of a comic relief.
Hey, shut up!
I think the directors always thought that Ed was a guy who knew the score, but pretended to be an idiot. So that's kind of how I treated him.
Toodles!